Yo, que lo que, Knicks fans. Welcome to episode 11 of Knicks Fans Wilding. As always, I'm here, Triple M, in the building. Of course, with my main guy, Don Juan. Tell the people it's really good.
Here is your boy Don Juan in the building. Coming out of the Off the Ball Network. Yes, Off the Ball Network. Make sure to follow my guys out there. OTB_network. Them guys is always holding it down, giving you A1 content. A1 content. I repeat, A1 content. But yes, this is Knicks Fans Wilding Podcast, episode 11. Make sure to follow us as well on IG, Knicks Fans Wilding, on Twitter, NYK Fans Wilding, and also our own individual handles as well. Triple M, what's up? Don Juan 607. Also, man, don't forget YouTube. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, Knicks Fans Wilding Podcast. Run them numbers up. We're giving some prizes at 100, so make sure to follow. Only people that are following will be eligible for those prizes. But, it's episode 11, Mario. You had 2 weeks off. Right back to game time, Days is numbered, draft around the corner.
Yes, sir. 3 weeks out from the NBA draft, the Knicks have a lot of options. 19, 21, 32, 58. These are all our picks. I don't see the Knicks going into next year with 4 rookies, but hey, man, you never know. Trade up, trade down. I mean, the front office is going to be busy. You saw last season what they did, trading up from 27, moving up to 23, and ended up picking up at 25. So it's going to be a fun time, and we have a very special guest for you today. Make sure to watch the episode. Keep continuously to watch the episode as we have Nathan on today. Nathan off Draft Deeper. That man gave a lot of insights, and he single-handedly made me want to pick up the phone and call Leon Rose to pick my NBA prospect today.
He dropped some jewels, man. I learned a lot. I was sold on a lot of the gems he threw out there. And honestly, I had done my research, but this guy was, he was schooling us out there. I felt like he was just throwing out gems. Really, I mean, the guy knows his stuff, man. You can't deny it. The guy knows his stuff. So make sure if you guys want to get deep in the draft, follow our guy, Draft Deeper.
Yeah, man. Continuously watch this episode as he's going to come on. After this important topic, Don Juan, we've been away for a little while. There's been a lot of chatter. It's been a lot of chatter, and I want to get your input real quick. These superstars are always going to be attached to the Knicks. The number one name that's been attached now, even though he hasn't demanded a trade or anything, Damian Lillard. And then the R.J. Barrett trades came on. The R.J. Barrett stands just came out, guns blazing. Do not trade R.J., they were saying. Don Juan, how you feel about trading R.J. Barrett and a couple other pieces for Damian Lillard?
Man, I don't know. I can't do it. I can't do it. I just bought this guy's jersey, man. You want me to get rid of the jersey already? But no, I mean, all jokes aside, it ain't about the jersey. But this is a guy that he's our top pick. I mean, we can't just throw him out there just because the superstar is calling for help. And I think we have enough pieces. Granted, some people might say otherwise. I think we have enough pieces. If we were to trade for a guy like Damian Lillard, like I said, some people might say otherwise. Obviously, you want to get the best package available in the rebuilding team. If Portland were to trade Damian Lillard, you would assume that they are committed to rebuilding. They would want to haul right back. But realistically, if Dame wants out, the Knicks are the team that he would like to go. Just like that James Harden situation, the Knicks have leverage. They have leverage. Granted, Damian Lillard is on the team. He's on the contract. He would have to still commit to playing with that team because he's on the contract. But you don't want a disgruntled superstar on your team. And at the end of the day, if he's saying he wants to play for the Knicks, every other team is going to back off and say, you know what? He doesn't want to play for us. We're going to have to just take whatever the Knicks got to offer. And I feel like I said, I think we have enough to give them in terms of picks from Dallas to the 3 picks of this year to IQ. if need be, OB. I mean, those guys you would assume that they would have to go, but just don't touch my guy RJ, man. There's so much potential. We've seen the flashes. We've seen the improvements from year one and year two. This is a guy that I've said it before, where he has the pedigree to be a star in this league. From Uncle Steve Nash there on the sideline to his dad being a basketball player. And well, his mom, I'm not sure, but his mom was an athlete as well. The kid is basketball personified. This kid has grew up in a basketball family, and I just have so much high hopes for this guy that I cannot just give up on him after year two, after seeing such a great leap. That in year three, I mean, we got to cross over that 20-point per game line.
For sure.
But what's your take? I mean, Twitter was crazy with this RJ stuff, man.
Sure.
You hear from get rid of him. I mean, is Dame a number one player to?
That's a great point.
I don't know if he's worth it. Not the Damian Lillard not on the timeline. Like, what's your take on it?
Oh man, what's my take? My take. All right, look, I'm gonna take you in a little roller coaster, and then I'm gonna bring you to the end. So, my take number one. All right, Knicks fans need to get over this Melo PTSD that they have. They always talking about the Carmelo. Oh, if we trade everybody's gonna be like Carmelo Anthony again, and we're never gonna get past this round, that round, because look at what happened with Melo and stuff like that. You know why the Knicks didn't advance further with Melo? It's because they had an incompetent front office. They traded the first round pick, for Andrea Bargnani. That's not going to get it done. They amnesty Chauncey Billups when they knew Amari Stoudemire's knees was on the mend. They knew those knees were not going to last. You should have amnestied Amari. CP3 was ready to come. We could have jumped on Chris Paul to come in with Carmelo. There were just so many bad decisions that the front office has done. And one thing that I don't see mentioned often is that Miami Heat big three that was in the way. I mean, the Knicks only faced them 1 year, but it was going to be hard to pass Miami with all these players were in their prime. You had prime LeBron, prime Chris Bosh, D Wade still the man. I mean, you look at the East right now, and it's super wide open. You got the Hawks upcoming team. That's going to be interesting. But you add a superstar to the mix, and now you're talking about you can easily get into the Eastern Conference NBA Finals. Brooklyn is going to be a challenge. Of course, they have a squad with those big three. But their injuries they've been injured, and they have not proven to be healthy. I can go on and on with a lot of teams in the East that when you go back to the Carmelo years, it was just way tougher in the East. And right now the East is wide open. So if there's a chance to pounce and get a superstar and attach him to Julius Randle and with this front office, it would be interesting. But here I go. Like I said, I'm going to take it to this roller coaster.
I was ready to ask you a question. I was like, wait a minute. So what are you saying?
I'll take it to the roller coaster. Man, RJ Barrett. And you said it's going to take RJ Barrett picks quickly, Obi. One thing that these NBA playoffs have shown us with the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals is how deep is your team. There's a whole bunch of injuries that's bound to happen. You always see that. So if you throw all these eggs to get Damian Lillard, we're just not there yet. We're just not ready to throw all our eggs to get Damian Lillard and then see what we could do and mix and match and all that stuff. We have all these assets. And what scares me is like people think like this is going to be the last superstar to ask for a trade. And it's like we need to get him because nobody else is going to ask for a trade. I mean, we see it all the time in the NBA. Superstars get unhappy and want to get traded. And the Knicks this year built a fun atmosphere. And Madison Square Garden showed out. 19,000 fans are going to be allowed, hopefully, next year in the arena. And those playoff games when capacity reached, it was bananas at the Garden. And I feel like players are starting to watch that, and they're going to want to be like, all right, what do the Knicks – let's see what the Knicks are. Let's see what the Knicks are building over there. And it's going to be a more desirable destination. So after I gave you all that spiel about Damian Lillard and all this other stuff, man, I wouldn't do it because – like you said, RJ Barrett, he's 20 years old. I mean, let's say he doesn't become a superstar that a lot of people think. Let's say he just becomes that role player. He's still going to be a good starter. He's never going to be just a role player. He's going to definitely be a good starter. You got Emmanuel Quickly, who just had a great rookie season. I mean, this guy is going to be buckets for many years in the league. We still got to see Obi, second year Obi, so he's going to show improvement. I'm not there yet. I mean, I'm just not there yet with the Knicks to keep on moving, and I just gotta wait and see, man. I'm not throwing all my eggs for Damian Lillard right now. Not now, Don Juan. Not now. Even though the East is wide open, just not yet. Just not yet. We gotta keep building.
Yeah, and it's like, what, we make a trade for Dame and end up eliminated first round. Like,
I don't think it will be eliminated first round, but it's just like he can't get hurt. He's 31 years old. He can't get hurt. Let's say he gets that groin. He's been durable his whole career, but let's say that groin was acting up this year.
Definitely. You never know. But the only thing that I do say, granted, like I said, I don't want to trade RJ. But bringing somebody like him, we still have enough space, enough cap space to make, sign somebody else. So that's why I wouldn't eliminate it if, the package is right. But
who's out there? Yeah, we just don't know who's out there. It's just tough. But I'm gonna trust this front office, man. I mean, every move that they've done so far I've loved it, man. I mean, the first move that they did that I was killing them, I always say that. I was like, man, why are you getting rid of ISO Zoe for to bring in Theo Pinson? He's trash. And now Theo, I'm looking to give him a 3-year deal at the vet minimum. He's not even a veteran.
And where's ISO Zoe at right now? Where's Zoe at?
Yeah, man. So I mean, like every move that they've made has worked. They drafted quickly. Drafted Obi. It's been. I like this front office, and they're not incompetent like the other ones that I've mentioned. So
definitely not. And on top of that, on top of them being smart, they're well connected. They have some strings that they could pull around the league, and even the D Rose trade, even though Tibbs played a part in that, I'm pretty sure. I give credit to the front office that they were able to get him for a second round pick. Like I'm pretty sure they must have talked their way into that situation and say, hey, you guys don't need Derrick Rose. You're better off without him.
I mean, he said it in an interview. I think he said it in an interview. They were like, why you want to go to the Knicks? He said he wanted to go somewhere where
Dwayne Casey.
Dwayne Casey why said, you want to go to the
Knicks? You're better off being here. Yeah, right.
Look at Detroit now, man. But yeah, I trust this front office, Don Juan, and I feel like they're gonna do what's best, and I'm gonna ride out with the decision they make. And we're gonna be right here analyzing every move that they make.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man, without further ado, make sure to subscribe to all our channels, like Don Juan said, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. We everywhere, man. And life is short. Make sure to enjoy it to the fullest. And here's our interview with Nathan, aka Draft Deeper. Hope you guys enjoy. Fans Wilding. Here we are with another episode of Knicks Fans Wilding, man. How you doing, Don Juan?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a couple weeks off, Been doing my little deep diving on this draft coming up, not knowing what to expect because we could move up, we could move out of the draft. All these rumors going around, Damian Lillard, who knows what we're going to package, all the picks, half the team, the whole team, front office, coach, who knows, man. But it's exciting to be here, man. I mean, we keep saying it almost every time, not looking forward to the offseason, just so much that the Knicks could do. And
for sure.
It's nice to be back, though, and talk this draft talk because we need it.
Yeah, man. And today we're joined by Nathan, a.k.a. at Draft Deeper. That name sounds deep. I saw my man on the Brian Rodriguez. Shout out to Off the Ball. He was on his show, or the Hype Pod. You got to check that out if you haven't checked it out. Nathan, man, tell me what's really good, bro.
Man, it's just a busy time. I feel like I'm doing shows like literally every single day, and it's grind time, man. So no worries. I'm happy to be here. It's just it's all part of building both brands, right? Shout out to all you guys at Off the Ball Pod. You guys are always great to me. Much love. So
much love for sure for Off the Ball, man. And tell us a little about yourself, how you got started, and usually the draft is already passed. Right now we're talking free agency usually. So how are you adjusting to this change that we're going through?
So I mean, just a little background about myself. I really fell in love with the game of basketball when I was in high school, and I wanted to actually cover the game as like a sports writer. So I went to college for journalism at Temple University, graduated, but in like my senior year, I had second thoughts about being exclusively on the journalism side. Like I just fell more in love with the game as I was analyzing and breaking everything down. Obviously, I've always been a big prospect guy following the draft. So I'm like, what if I could work in a front office? What if I could be in a scouting department? Kind of shift gears a little bit. So after college, I've pursued multiple different opportunities, making connections, trying to learn more about what actually goes into scouting prospects and that whole side of the business. And I worked with a private firm called EV Hoops, which gave me some great ground level experience, actually doing the dirty work, going live scouting, talking with different people, meeting executives, other scouts, and being in war rooms, the whole 9 yards. So that was like the bulk of where I got a lot of experience, as well as having a few mentors in my life that have helped me. But just in trying to break into basketball in general, it's very, very hard. So I figured at the very least, I wanted to start my own platform where I could at least give the general public insight into what scouting actually looks like from a front office perspective. What are the types of conversations that people are having? What are the things that talent evaluators actually look for when they're breaking down prospects and looking at them coming into the league? So that's really what Draft Deeper is all about. It's not just focusing on the top 5 guys. It's about looking at the draft from a perspective of a scout. And what exactly does that mean, and how important is that in shaping the basketball that we know today in the NBA? So that's really why I've done what I've done.
Woohoo! If you're not excited after hearing that intro to what you're about to hear, man, I don't know what is going on. Nathan came with that fire, and good luck to you, bro. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna connect a lot more times. We've had a great repertoire so far, so I'm excited, man. And like I said, I'm wishing the best of luck to you. But let's get into it. As you know, this is Knicks Fans Wilding, so here we are. We talking everything Knicks. Nathan, I see there being at least 3 realistic scenarios for the Knicks. You know, as we know, 2 years ago, ESPN put "What do the Knicks need?" and they said needed everything. So it's kind of funny how now we kind of know what we need. We need that point guard. We need that wing, and we probably need a backup center. You know, we saw Taj Gibson running out there on fumes. We probably can't do that next year. So the Knicks have those 3 main scenarios, and I mean 3 main needs, and I see 3 realistic scenarios for them. Number 1 being moving up, trading up. If the Knicks trade up, how far do you think they can go up? And what is a realistic target for them?
I just don't know what they would specifically be trying to target if they move up, because I feel like they have a bunch of options at their disposal. So really it's like, how far would they want to move up? And then if they could get up that far, like, are we talking like top 10? Are we talking lottery? Like, I don't know how far they would necessarily want to move up, but I would imagine if they moved up, it's probably for one of those wing type prospects. Or one of those slashing scoring type guards that they would be looking at, like a James Bouknight, possibly somebody in that realm. Maybe they move up for somebody like Moses Moody, but I can't see them having the assets to break into like the top 7. So honestly, if I were the Knicks, I'd probably just stay where I was at, because you got 2 picks that there's going to be some intriguing names on the board, and I'm sure we're going to talk about a few of them. But yeah, I personally would stay where I'm at.
Yeah, man. I mean, James Bouknight is a bucket getter. That man gets bucket. Don Juan, what you think about James Bouknight?
Yeah, I like Bouknight. He would be someone that fits our system. He's a guy that he's more of a combo guard. I feel like we need scoring. As we saw in the playoffs, we were a bit exposed with the lack of scores that we have. I mean, we can't count on D Rose to carry us to the promised land. And Julius Randle, as we saw, he's not really the guy that, you know, he was during the season, unfortunately. But if you add more scorers, kind of take that weight off of him somewhat, because at the same time, we can't also depend on a rookie to, you know, take us to the championship either, you know. But he's another helping hand. And Bouknight is nice, but I just think that, you know, how much assets do we have to give up to really move that high? You know, you mentioned Moses Moody. That's another guy that I would love to get, but how much of a difference is somebody like Trey Mann to those guys? How much of a difference is? I mean, Trey Mann is probably the one that is my guy that I would hope he falls, because I have him at least top 15 on my draft board. But like someone like him, if he falls to us, how much of a difference is he from those guys up top? Like, I'm not sure. Is it worth one pick, or is it worth a pick and Knox? Let's sneak a Knox in there. I'm trying to build up his value. Come on, guys. I know you guys believe in him too. But if we could throw him in there and move up, I mean, why not? But I don't think there's anything realistically for us to move up in the top 10, unless we're taking in a bad contract, which I'm not opposed to either.
Yeah, I mean, Knicks have options. So we'll see. But if we do stay pat at 19 and 21, Judge, I think that's my second scenario. ESPN has us mock picking Sharife Cooper. We know Cooper's ball handling and speed, but that 3-point percentage scares me, man. At 19, is he a good pick, Nathan? How do you feel about Sharife Cooper?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the best case scenarios for the Knicks, is being able to take somebody like Sharife if his stock doesn't rise higher than 19. I can't imagine that he would fall past 21. Like, the Knicks would definitely swing around and take him with their second pick if they don't take him right at 19. But yeah, you guys really just you need a floor general who can not only manage the game but also provide something else other than just pure passing. You need someone who can also figure out different ways to score the basketball efficiently. And you talk about Sharife Cooper not being the best outside shooter. Well, he's already showed examples in some of these workouts that he's definitely been working on his jump shot, and it looks a lot better from three-point range. But he was also in the 85th percentile in the country in terms of hitting runners. So he kind of has that floater in his bag as well. And you guys have seen, especially from somebody like Trae Young, how important it is to have a shot like that in your bag. And then he was also one of the best freshman guards in the country at drawing fouls and converting from the free throw line. So those are multiple different ways that he can score the basketball effectively in a rookie year, much better than I think somebody like Elfrid Payton. Elfrid Payton's a much more limited scorer in my eyes than somebody like Sharife could be, even in his first or second year.
We don't say that name here anymore. We don't say Payton's name here. It doesn't exist.
But yeah, that's why I think he would be such an enticing guard. And you also mentioned Trey Mann's name. I don't know if you want to ask me about him as well, but Trey Mann has also been somebody who's been rising up some of my – I don't want to say rankings. I don't really do a big board over at Draft Deeper. I kind of categorize everybody in the tiers and then just let everybody fall where they may. But yeah, Trey Mann's definitely in like that third tier for me as a high-level creator guard who can hit a shot from virtually anywhere. And you want to talk about, if you want scoring from that point guard position, somebody who I think is going to be on the board for one of those two picks. I think if the Knicks get either Trey Mann or Sharife Cooper, you guys should be pretty happy with one of those two picks.
Yeah, I like Sharife Cooper getting to the line 8 times per game. As you said, he might not be the best outside shooter, but he could definitely attack, and he knows how to draw a foul. And we have a couple guys who would excel with a point guard who throws lobs. Guys like Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin. So at 19, if we go Sharife Cooper, I mean, the shooting scares me. I saw a comp, I can't say from who, so I don't really know if this is accurate, but they compare Sharife to like Kiara Lewis from Pelicans last year or Shane Larkin. What do you think about those comparisons?
No, I think he's going to be a better point guard than that. I'm much more sold on Sharife at this point. So it's funny. So I was never the biggest fan of Trae Young when he came out of college, and I've had to eat so much crow regarding Trae Young. Like I said on my podcast last night that I record, I feel like I've been to the buffet like 3 different times and have had to just consistently eat plates of Trae Young. And Sharife reminds me so much of Trae. He controls the game in the same way. He's a ball-dominant point guard, but at the end of the day, he can make the game so much easier for everyone else in a variety of ways, depending on how he's looking for his shots, as well as how he's setting everybody up on some of those pick and roll, those easy lobs, whether he's hitting the floater in the mid-range. So it's like Trae Young proved that type of point guard can work if you put the right pieces around him. So I would view him in a much better light than somebody like a Shane Larkin. I think that Sharif's definitely going to have a place in the league for years to come. And I mean, the other thing too is that his handle, the way he can break down his handle's nasty. Like I haven't seen a handle from a freshman guard like that probably since going back to Kyrie at Duke. Like that's the type of handle that we're talking about. So he really is a special guard prospect, and I've had to swing myself back around to him. And I think he deserves to go higher than 19. But like I said, if he's there at 19 for the Knicks, you couldn't not be happy with that pick.
Draft deeper.
He's kind of telling me on this idea, even though I'm not really a guy that likes undersized guards. I mean, with what you just said right now, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like I'm with it. I mean,
I'm the guy on social media on draft Twitter that like defends all the small guards, so it's fine. Like, that's just my job. So.
Yeah, man. Wow, you selling me as well. I was scared with the 22% from the outside and the 37% from the field, but I'm sold now. I want to see some Kyrie handled at the Garden. But you mentioned Trey Mann recently. He shot 40% from 3-pointers. He has great size and athleticism. I mean, talk to me about Trey Mann. If he's there at 19, what would you thinking at 19 or 21?
So Trey Mann, I think, would be really interesting if you guys drafted him and he was your point guard. The damage that he could do with Julius Randle in pick and roll sets, both looking to Randle as a scorer out of those sets as the roll man, or even if that's another way that you get the ball in Julius Randle's hands and let him be a playmaker off of those short rolls. I think that you need to find ways to make sure Randle isn't ineffective when he's not either spotting up for a three or just getting right to the rack and finishing, because that was your biggest problem against the Hawks in the playoffs. Was they figured out how to turn Julius Randle into a mid-range type shooter, and that's never been his game. That's probably never going to be his game. So having another guard next to him who is much more efficient at playing in different pick and roll sets, it just gives them more options and making sure that Randle's always being used properly and not having to play to his weaknesses. But yeah, even when you're talking about when Trey Mann, isn't on the floor with Julius Randle, the outside shooter that he is, the types of shots that he can make, his ability to play pick and roll with other guys, really, to me, the only major weakness that I can see for Trey Mann right now is he pretty much does all of his damage in pick and roll coverages, in pick and roll sets, and he doesn't have natural vision passing the ball and making plays for others outside of design sets. So like freelancing, kind of doing some of that wild passing that you might get from Sharif, whose court vision is some of the best of the draft. You might not see that from Trey Mann right away. He might have to develop some of that over his first 2 or 3 years in the league. But just his scoring package overall, the fact that he can score from all three levels as a point guard, he would also be an enticing option for New York. Just you get a different player than you would with Sharif. So really it's, what do you guys think that the Knicks need more? Do you think you need more natural freelance playmaking with some scoring on the side, or do you think you need a much better scoring punch from that point guard spot with the ability to shoot from outside right away from day one? What do you guys think?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I would love the outside shooting with the scoring punch. It's just been a nasty decade for the New York Knicks at the point guard position, and it's been filled with guys who cannot shoot. Yeah. I mean, we saw with Elfrid Payton. I mean, you could really shrink the floor when a point guard can't shoot. So, I mean, I would go with that outside shooting with scoring punch. How about you, Don Juan?
Yeah, I agree, and it's funny because we actually spoke a few pods. I might have been the last one, I'm not sure, but it was a question where we kind of went back and we really couldn't think about when was the last point guard that the Knicks had that could shoot the three efficiently. And I still to this day, I still can't even think of it. I think I mentioned Jason Kidd, and I looked up Jason Kidd's stats, and it was less than 30%. So,
Jose Calderon.
Oh, man.
It's terrible.
Pablo Prigioni.
Oh, man, it's been a nasty.
Pablo Prigioni, holy crap.
Do you have a comp for Trey Mann?
Oh, so before he had his freshman season at Florida, it's funny. It's ironic that we talked about Sharif, and I used Trae Young as kind of like a shades of comp for Sharif. But I wrote a piece before Trey Mann's freshman year, and I was like, this guy's going to be the next Steph Curry, Trae Young type guard who can just stretch the floor from God knows where and be pulling up for those logo type threes. And like that's really the type of shooting that you can expect to see from him. But it's everything else. What does he bring to the table besides the shooting is really my concern. And the other thing too is Sharif's game is more polished, I think, right now for the NBA from day one. And the Knicks made the playoffs last year. I don't think you guys want to necessarily spend the time developing a point guard and having him learn some of those playmaking things, like I mentioned, that Trey Mann's probably going to have to learn and master over his first few years in the league. So I don't know. Like, I feel like you guys want to win bigger now. So the Knicks fans are starving. So again, I know I'm trying to like sell one guy to you over the other, but I just think it's a better fit.
Yeah, man. Coach Tibbs, he showed that he doesn't like playing a lot of rookies who are not ready to come right in and contribute. He's not with the developing or anything like that. So we might have to go Sharif, man. I mean, draft deeper. You really sold me on Sharif right now. I'm ready to call Leon Rose right now and tell him to pick that man if he's at 19. But ESPN also mocked the Knicks at 21 to pick up Trey Murphy III from Virginia. 43% from the outside, sweet shooting wing. Like I said, we need that wing as well, and a wing that can stretch the floor. What do you think about Trey Murphy III, and do you think he's the right pick at 21?
I think he's a good pick. So you guys at 21 are probably going to have a few different options depending on who's available at that wing spot. So the Trey Murphy is definitely going to be an option. I would have thought like 3 weeks ago, Chris Duarte would probably be an option for you guys too, and he'd probably be a really good fit, able to come in and contribute right away. But everything's pointing to him possibly being like a lottery pick. So I don't know if he's going to be available for you guys anymore. So I know the whole don't take 23-year-olds with lottery picks, but that's just what I'm hearing. So
lottery pick, wow! I mean, the mock draft has been getting a little shaky after after I say 7, 8, it gets a little, everybody has different orders. I mean, even the guy you just mentioned, Mario, what's his name?
Trey Murphy.
Trey Murphy. He's been shooting up on the mock drafts. I seen him a couple weeks ago. He was a late first rounder, mid-20s. Now he's moving up. So maybe I seen last mock draft I checked, he was at 17.
Oh, come on, man. I want Chris Duarte. I want that Dominican flavor at Madison Square Garden. Get okay, we out here. We need that, Chris. Don't tell me that, Nathan, that he's going to be in the lottery, man. You're scaring me. So who do you think is an option at 21 besides Trey Murphy?
You know what? Josh Christopher would be really interesting for you guys.
Josh Christopher.
If he didn't go in the lottery, where I think he should go. But if he fell, that would be a really interesting pick for you guys.
Yeah,
you want to talk about another guy who can fill it up, get buckets, and his competitive spirit. He's going to come in and defend. And what better way to get on the court on a Tibbs team as a young player than to show that you're going to defend your arse off every single night. So that's Josh Christopher bringing that fire. So he would be really interesting target for you guys. Trey Murphy would also be really great, just being a 6'9" wing, being able to stretch the floor from three. I question how much he's going to be able to develop off the dribble in the mid-range, if he's ever going to be like a third scoring option for a team, or if he's just going to be like a fourth or fifth option. Like, I don't have him in like my tier 3 of guys who I would consider to be starters that I'd pencil in to a lineup like 1 through 4 reliably on like a really good, the championship level team. I kind of have Trey Murphy as one of those, like one of those fifth guys. Like, he could possibly be a fourth option on any given night. He could be a third option on any given night, but chances are he's slotting in to like that fifth spot, or maybe he's more of like a 3-and-D type specialist, not necessarily a more complete player. But you guys don't necessarily need somebody at like that 3-4 spot to be like this takeover type player. If you already have somebody like a Julius Randle, you bring in another point guard, some of the other shooters you guys have, and who knows what you guys are going to do in free agency, maybe making some trades. So I don't think you necessarily need to look for that guy. So Trey Murphy would be a perfect complement to what you guys are trying to build. Yeah,
man, we got RJ Barrett as well, big guy, but before you get up out of here, I know you got a big show with Chris. Tell me about Corey Kispert, who's just been everywhere as well on the mock, and also Zaire Williams, 2 guys that just on the mock drafts, they can go from anywhere from lottery to outside the lottery.
You talking about in relation to your Knicks, or you just want me to break them down in general? Because I could not see you guys taking Zaire Williams. I don't think Tibbs would take on that kind of a project right now.
Just break them down. Let's see. Maybe Tibbs does. Let's see. Break them down for me.
Zaire Williams is interesting because he's measuring pretty much close to 6'10" now. So like that's a really huge guard / wing who can stretch the floor, shoot the three, but he's rail thin. He has a lot that he's going to need to work on still with his game. He's still pretty raw from a playmaking perspective. He doesn't always make the best of decisions with the basketball in his hands. His shooting can be a little streaky at times, so that's also not necessarily a selling point in his favor right now. If we talk about guys with upside, he definitely has like top 10 in this class upside, but he's going to need the same with Brandon Boston Jr. Those two guys are two guys that really fell out of the top 10 when you talk about preseason rankings, and they're going to need some time this season and really further develop their games for the NBA and rebuild some of the confidence that they lost because they weren't able to finish at the basket easily in college, and losing some of that confidence kind of stretched out to the rest of their games from range. So, I'm not sure if the Knicks would want to take on a project like him, but man, if for whatever reason Kispert fell to 19, I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's tailor-made to come in and just get easy shots from the outside. I mean, he's another guy who's more of like a specialist or like a fifth guy on a team. Like I really went back and forth. What do I have this guy in like a third tier of like that guaranteed 1 through 4 starter on a really good team, or do I have him in like that next tier down? I have him in that next tier down. I could possibly make like a really quick amendment and move him back up to that third tier. But he had a historic season at Gonzaga. Like, I mean, historic season. I don't know if people realize how good of a season Corey Kispert had, like 90+ percentiles in so many different offensive categories. People wanted to compare him to like Joe Wieskamp. And I shut that down on one of my recent podcasts that I did, because I'm like, no. Wieskamp's good. He's a good shooter, but Corey Kispert does many more things on the ball. He's ultimately proved to be a better defender by the numbers in college than Wieskamp. So I'm like, no, we're not going to make that comparison here. Kispert deserves to be like a mid-first round pick or even a lottery pick. So I think he's outside of your range, but if for whatever reason something wild happened and he fell, like knockdown shooter on the move, he's like a modern age Kyle Korver. So you talk about somebody you guys could use.
That sounds like Thibodeau player right there, man.
Kyle Korver definitely played for Coach Tibbs and the Bulls, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I don't think so. I think you're way wrong. But yeah, Nathan, man, it was a pleasure having you. I wish we had a little more time, because the Knicks got also 32 pick. We don't know what they'll do there as well, but I know you got a big show. So before the draft, I would love if we could have you again, man. If you got some time, we could talk about that later. Good luck on your show. Draft Deeper. Nathan, tell the people where they could find you.
So you can follow us on Twitter at Draft Deeper. Subscribe to our Draft Deeper podcast wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for a lot more content coming leading up to the draft. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I'm not trying to tire myself out too much. But yes, sir, I would love to be back on. We can hit some second round guys. Keep talking about the Knicks, whatever you guys want to talk about, man. I'm always for it.
For sure, man. Thank you for hopping on the show.
Thank you for joining us, brother.
Yes, sir.
You gotta hit close it out.